All right, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 1st of July, 2026, and this is the SIG Cloud Provider office hours. We are a sub-project of Kubernetes SIGs, and as such, we follow their meeting guidelines, which can be summarized as please be excellent to each other, and if you'd like to talk, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Although there's only four of us in here at the moment, so we probably don't have to stand on too much ceremony. Um, Alrighty, so let's start our meeting off. I don't think we have any sub-project updates, but I'll open the floor up anyways, just in case. Seems like maybe no. Okay, so let's get into our regular agenda then. So the first item here, this is like a little bit of bookkeeping. Uh, there were two repositories that we've been trying to archive for a while now. One of them was the Cloud Provider sample repository, which was essentially just, I think it was originally created around 10 years ago as an example of what cloud controllers would look like. But we ended up putting all that code in the Cloud Provider framework repo. So we never really finished out the work there. So, thankfully now we've got it archived so people won't be going there. They'll be going to the right place. And then second, which, about a year and a half ago, I think, Chris Privitere announced to us that, he shared the news that the Equinix Metal were shutting down their Kubernetes service. And so they wanted to deprecate the cloud provider for Equinix Metal. So at that point, we started the Kubernetes deprecation cycle, which meant that we needed to keep it around for three versions. And so we've been updating the security PRs that are getting generated and the Dependabot PRs that get generated, but we have not been bumping the Kubernetes version on that. So it's been kind of frozen at the 1.34 state. Now that 1.36 is released, the repo has been archived, and there'll be no more changes accepted there. So, yeah, I mean, it feels good to do a little cleanup work, so we kind of got those things, yeah, put together. I don't know, does anybody have questions or comments about that stuff? All right. Well, I'm going to hand the mic over to Bridget then, and she's got some announcements to pass on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alvika. This is a repeat of stuff we talked about last time, but I want to highlight it because now the deadlines are almost upon us. Before the next meeting in 2 weeks of this SIG, we do need to get our maintainer track submission in. So I know we've had some discussions back and forth, and we can take it offline and work out the details over the chat on Slack. But like just letting you all know that I think we probably should aim for getting that written in the next week and turned in, on time so that we get our maintainer track, which will be great. And then also the other thing to consider is if you are a Kubernetes org member, or you want to become a Kubernetes org member, which might be possible, you can participate in, or if you're a participant in any other, uh, CNCF projects, you can participate in Maintainer Summit. That also has a CFP, which is coming due. And I think Maintainer Summit CFP is a great place to put some of your, deep dive things that are of interest specifically to maintainers. So that one does not gate on me and Elmiko and Walter and the rest. So if you want to just put in a proposal for the Maintainer Summit, go for it. And we also, if we're going to put anything Crow or something else specific at the Project Pavilion, that is also coming due. We do have one more meeting before the stuff on July 19th is due. So the only one we have to deal with in the next week and a half is the maintainer track talk. Yes, Almiko.
Yeah, so two thoughts there. The first on the maintainer track, like I think Daniel Bruno shared that the abstract for the talk that he's doing about building, kind of an AI workflow using Crow and kind of as a multi-cloud kind of story. Like I'm kind of inclined, I think the other thing we were talking about was like some sort of open Q&A, AMA type discussion around the distributions topic. But honestly, given how timely Daniel's talk is and how it's using Crow and doing this hybrid cloud thing, and it's also talking about tech that people are really interested in, like I'm kind of leaning on maybe we should vote for Daniel, or my vote would be for like maybe we should promote that talk as our maintainer track because it's certainly on message for everything we do.
I like that idea a lot. Does he have or need or want at least one co-speaker from the SIG who maybe has, I just don't know how much KubeCon speaking experience he has. Like, if he wants somebody from the SIG, I'm sure many people who are able to be at KubeCon would probably be able to, um,
Yeah. So I
you know,
talked to him about
put
this,
that in with him.
and he is absolutely
Perhaps you or yeah.
yeah. He would like to have a co-speaker, and and I
Mhm.
went to the Crow meeting last week to kind of talk about this, and
Great.
and Daniel was there as well.
Perfect.
I would love to see a member of the Crow community join Daniel on
Oh,
stage.
yeah.
I think that would be amazing. At,
Great.
as like a final stopgap or whatever, I'd be willing to put up, one
Sure.
of us on this, like we've done a lot of these things. I think yourself
Yeah.
or myself or Walter, any of us
Sure.
could step up to help him out. I'm willing to put that in as like a stopgap. But I would
Yeah.
love to promote like some new faces or someone from the Crow community or something like that.
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic. So, since you've been most engaged with that, Elmiko, do you want to take the action item of talk to Daniel, talk to Jesse, I mean, find out who's going to be there. And
Yeah.
then if you drop a draft in chat to me, I'd be happy to help hammer out exactly how the proposal looks. And if we end up needing an additional person on the proposal, I certainly will help participate. But I think that we can probably get this sorted out with the correct people in
Yeah.
Daniel and other would be fantastic.
Yeah, totally. And Daniel, I think Daniel posted an abstract, but I will highlight it again.
Oh,
We can do
perfect.
a little brainstorming on that in Slack, and then I'm happy to like
Perfect.
submit the maintainer track talk and just put myself in as like a placeholder. And then if we can
Sure.
find someone else from the Crow community, we can just sub me out and sub them in or something like that.
Perfect. I think that that handles it then. Then we won't miss that deadline and we will get that in. Love
Cool.
it.
The other topic I was going to say was about the project pavilion as well. I talked with
Oh, yeah.
I brought that up at the Crow community meeting last week as well, and it sounded interesting. They definitely were excited about the idea. I think when we laid out the options of like, okay, how many people, how many slots, I think there's still a decision they need to make. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'll go to the Crow meeting next Wednesday just to see if they had any further thoughts on that. But I think
Okay.
at the very least, a Project Pavilion booth for the Crow community. So I think that would be like amazing to see.
Yeah. That'd be fantastic. Okay. And then I wanted to put a link here. It's a little early. Oh, you have your hand up
No,
again,
no,
Elmika.
it's just
Oh,
that it's
still
just
hand.
Zoom, me fighting with.
Oh gosh. I did put a link here as well because um, I want to draw everyone's attention to the fact that our very own Elmiko is running for Kubernetes steering, which is very exciting. And you are not required to vote for anyone, but you certainly can. And as the election gets going, more people will put their names in. The thing you want to do right now, if you're watching this recording or if you're on this call, is check your voter eligibility because it's possible that you are an eligible voter or you're just this close. Maybe you're one, it requires 50 types of activities, 50 indications of activity, and you have 49. You can submit an exception request and get yourself added so that you can vote. So go take a look and see if you're eligible to vote for Kubernetes steering. They have these elections every summer. We are doing three spots on Kubernetes steering this time. You can also certainly run it yourself if you would like to, but we have a self nomination from Elmiko that is a good one to take a look at, just also to get an idea of what does it look like. He's giving a great example of what it looks like to put yourself forward to participate in this way in the community. So we have some time on the election right now. It's just gathering candidates, but take a look. All right. And any questions, comments, or anything people want to know more about that?
There will be a Q&A with the candidates. I think it's
Oh, good.
scheduled for like the end of July, like July 29th or something like that. But yeah,
Oh, fantastic.
watch the Cube Slack for more on that.
Fantastic.
And yeah,
Okay.
I appreciate the support. Thank you.
I'm really excited because remember, this is that chop wood, carry water work of if we want this community to go well, we have to all pitch in and do the work. And this is a great example of that work. Okay, let's see, next topic. Wait, I don't even have to pass it on to next topic. I'll pass it back to Elmiko.
Well, and I will pass it on to the next topic. Walter's got some stuff about upcoming breaking changes for CCMs. So please, Walter.
Yeah, just a note for everyone. There was a controller change which included a restructure of an options field. And so the options field is moved from one structure to another. I know if you, for anyone who cares and it is relevant to them, I've linked 3 places in 3 cloud providers where I know for sure it's going to break. I wasn't able to find any other cloud providers using the relevant field. So if you're not AWS, Azure, or Google, you may be okay unless you add something new. But those 3 at minimum, when they pull in the newest version of Kubernetes into the CCM with the new version that will be coming out, there will be compile time errors, and some changes will need to be made. So this is just a heads up that's coming. Elmiko?
Yeah. So I just wanted to be clear for people who might be watching the recording or something. This is going to hit people when we go to the 1.38, or will it be on 1.37c streams or in 1.37?
That is a really good question. The next big release coming out is 137, correct?
We're currently frozen for 1.37 and doing that release, and then.
So
but go ahead.
I believe it will be when
we did cap freeze and we did PRR freeze. I don't think we're at code freeze quite yet.
Yeah. So I believe it will be when you go to pull 137.0 into the CCM, or KK 137 into the CCM. And I did check like Alibaba, Huawei, and a few others, and was unable to find examples of them using this field. So the 3 I've isolated were the only ones I found. I may have missed other things. Lucas?
Does it also affect the default implementations of the node lifecycle controller, which is exposed through the cloud provider library?
Those should automatically get fixed because those exist in KK.
Okay, great.
So I believe it may have affected them, but that would have had to been fixed when this original change was made.
Okay, yeah, good to hear.
Good question. Is there anything else on that topic or any other questions that people have?
Actually, I guess I had a meta point that I wanted to bring up. And if people want to criticize me for the handling, I will totally accept it. But when this came through, as one of Joel and I are and Elmiko are the TLs, so one of us needed to make a call. I didn't want to make it on my own. So I reached out through chat and just looked for one other person. Thank you. Sorry, Elmiko, I'm totally throwing you under the bus. But Elmiko looked at it, said, "Hey, I think I'm okay with it, but I like your idea of reaching out through this meeting." So we agreed to read through the meeting, but not to wait on getting the code merged. So I went ahead and approved it and let everyone continue on. I'm guessing this is actually one of the first times this has happened, which is I think why it's coming up now. But we have a lot of cloud providers. This does have I understand this does have an impact. This one was, I think, going to be relatively small because it's a field moving. It's not a difficult change to recompile and fix. But the bigger question of how do for anything this size and for sizes larger than this that are going to be more impactful, is this how we want to handle it? Is there, we are in a position that most of the rest of the KK community aren't, in that we have a lot of repos outside of the core one that will be affected. And so it's a great question of how do we want to go about handling these if there's going to be, breakage to one or more cloud providers.
Yeah, I mean, like, so to begin with, I think like having an announcement at this meeting, having it in the release notes, trying to raise through all the official channels is like that's kind of the minimum. Like we got to do that. I think the next thing is like it would be nice if we could go through and like make issues or whatever on the repos that we are aware of. I mean, starting with the ones that are in the Kubernetes SIGs like repo, just so that we have really high visibility for that. And then I think like beyond that, for the repos that exist outside of the Kubernetes SIG structure, I mean, like it would be great if we could make issues on those repos, but like it's also kind of catch as catch can, right? Like we don't necessarily, I think we have a responsibility to like broadcast what's going on and everything and do as much as we can, but we also don't have like ownership over those codes. So like, there is some responsibility on the owning part as well. But yeah, like I don't know. And
I love the idea of adding PRs, not PRs, issues. That seems like a good idea. I don't know. I'd be happy with that. I don't know if other people have opinions.
yeah, I think the other thing too is this is like a great, like this specific kind of change is this in my mind is a great opportunity for new folks who are looking for chances to work in like SIG Cloud Provider and whatnot. Because this is kind of like a compilation type fix up, cleanup type change. It doesn't necessarily require like new functionality being added at the cloud level and whatnot. So like, I think this is also an excellent opportunity for people who are, maybe looking to get involved or something. The difficult part is we have to time it, right? So like you're not going to be able to do this until we bump to that, like whenever that repo is bumping their dependencies, they're also going to need to fix this during that change or something.
Is this, Walter, since you highlighted this, is this important for us to get a release blog in about? Or is it not important enough in terms of enough people we need to interact with it?
Great question. So, I mean, I asked for, so in the original PR, I insisted that it would have to be release noted. So the original PR now has a release note section, and so 137 should have a release note about this. I guess part of the question I'm asking is, do we feel like it's sufficient? I would hope, since it's AWS, GCP, and Azure, which are all pretty engaged cloud providers, that we should be able to handle it. But, maybe I shouldn't be making assumptions. I also see someone else has a hand.
Yeah, it looked like Himanshu just raised their hand.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, this is my first time joining SIG Cloud meeting. So I am a contributor to PipeCD and Volcano CNCF projects, and also a regular attendee at SIG contributor experience. So yeah, just wanted to get myself into it. And as you mentioned that this was a good chance for new participants to get involved. So I would love to hear more about it so that I can contribute more.
Awesome. Do you? This is. I'm going to ask the silly question that is sort of always a bit of a friction point. But what is your cloud provider? Your preferred cloud provider? Like, which one are you most familiar with?
I'm most familiar with AWS.
Okay. So I would say that, given that cloud provider AWS, there is a cloud provider AWS repo. And, you know, exactly as Elmiko said, when we go to do that upgrade, the first thing that would need to happen is to go into the Go mod and upgrade the KK libraries that are pulled in. So, you know, Go mod update. That is then going to pull in, whoever's driving is doing an awesome job, by the way, so thank you. That's going to upgrade the highlighted libraries from 036 to 037. When you then go to do a compile, the compile is going to fail for the reasons that I outlined in the core KK bug, which is probably a really good reason to do what Elmiko suggested and file an AWS specific issue. But yeah, the highlighted code is going, that line 46 that's been highlighted is going to fail, saying their node monitor period doesn't, I think it's node monitor period doesn't exist, or node monitor period duration doesn't exist. And so we've got to change that line to point at the new location for that data. Does that make sense?
A little bit. I'll have to try.
No worries. And then what I would suggest is, you know, there's hopefully under AWS is my cloud, so I'm going to do a bit of hand waving here, for which I apologize. But there should be some directions on, once you've made these changes are going to be in the Cloud Controller Manager, which is a particular control plane component. And so there should be some directions on how to bring up an open source Kubernetes cluster with your own compiled version of the CCM. And so once you've made those changes, hopefully you'll then bring up the open source Kubernetes cluster, validate. I mean, in this case, I would validate that nodes are coming up, becoming healthy and able to take workloads. If that's working, then chances are everything that you need is now, that we need to test, is working. And there are tests and other things, but that bit of manual testing I would strongly suggest doing yourself before you then send the PR out. Just, and also, I mean, there are plenty of people on this call and on the Slack channel who would happily help you with this. So, I mean, there are plenty of resources available. Hopefully that kind of answers your question. Awesome.
Yeah, I think +1 to everything Walter just said. I think the key here, Himanshu, is to time this with the cloud provider AWS maintainers, of which I believe there's one on the call. I thought I saw Kirthan come in here. Yeah, so Kirthan, who's on the call with us now, is the primary maintainer for that code base. So what you'll want to do is coordinate when the next Kubernetes version bump is happening. This code change will need to happen, and so it's a little bit of sensitive timing, but yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. And Walter, while you were talking, you made me think of something here. We have the cloud provider repository, which is where the core framework that we encourage cloud providers to build off of lives. And something that I also do a lot of work in the cluster API community, and something that I love about the cluster API community, they have an amazing release team. And when they're doing they have some really cool documentation around how to do like version migrations, because they had a couple difficult migrations. And I wonder if there might be an opportunity for us to start something like this, where we could, maybe we could have some documentation that we put in this repository to describe what the migration, when we have something like this that needs to be migrated, we could describe it to people or something. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, I think that's a great thought. You didn't go where I was expecting. And as a result, I have a randomly silly question here. And for people who don't understand the question, I apologize. Don't worry about it. You probably don't want to know. But do you know if this is actually still a fake repo that's actually just a mirror of staging?
Yeah, this is a mirror of staging, right? The true code is
Okay.
is in the staging directory still. So yeah, the real place to make these changes is actually here. Yeah.
All right. Just wanted to make sure.
And this is also, I'm also trying to do some work to put, I want to get some tests in here as well. So like, hopefully that'll be coming in the future. But yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff we can do from this repo to help the community.
Awesome.
Nice.
Great.
And just
I actually think that's a great suggestion. Yeah.
cool. And just to highlight for Himanshu here, Kirthan is saying in chat that usually there's an alpha or beta release done. And so he says they do have an alpha for 137, so he could see about updating the dependency. So I would say, probably communicate on the Kubernetes Slack. That's the best place to kind of keep these discussions going, or on the on the repository through issues. Okay. Good topic. Any other questions or comments about this one? Anything else to add, Walter?
No. I mean, unless people have, I mean, you made a great suggestion on two additional ways of communicating. I like both of those. If no one else has anything additional, I'm good with it.
All right, cool. Well then, we will move along to the next topic. Lucas, you've got an update on CAP 5237, so please take it.
Yeah, so short topic. Just want to give an update there. The CAP is merged with the enhancement is merged with the beta gradation criteria changed, and also the new metric that we've talked about in one of the last meetings. And implementation has now also started. I think there's still enough time or a lot of time till the code freeze. But yeah, I just wanted to give the update that the metric is now also implemented. That's it, actually.
Oh, that's fantastic. Quick question. Are we in good shape for production readiness review and docs?
Production readiness review is already completed. I think docs still needs to be done, yeah. If we want to publish a new blog article on this metric. I think we did it with the last one. We can also do it for this one.
Oh, I don't mean blog, though that is a thing that could happen. I mean, like docs freeze is coming up in a few weeks, and we would want to have a placeholder docs PR ready to go. I can get you a link for where that's documented.
I think
yeah, good point.
In this specific case, I think we need to probably look at what it says around docs for metrics, because I have a feeling that the documentation will probably, unless we need something specific, the documentation will probably come from the actual code or whatever. I thought that's how it worked for metrics, is that it pulled it out of that the help text.
I think in the last iteration we also added a metric, and I think we didn't have any docs changes there. We just had a blog article saying, hey, we now have this new metric in the default implementations.
Right, because when someone scrapes the metrics endpoint, they'll get like the help for these things. But yeah, good color. All right, yeah, good question though. All right, yeah, but I will, I know you said we got some time, Lucas, but I'll put that on my queue to do a review there. Should be pretty good. And it's always nice to get this stuff done a little bit early, right? All right, cool. Any other questions or comments about that, Kev?
I just put a link in the chat to the SIG release timeline for 1.37, just to make sure that we're on track. We're at July 1 right now. It looks like our docs deadline open placeholder PRs is tomorrow. So just double check and see if we need a docs PR. If we do, the content doesn't have to be done. We just need the placeholder PR in the next day. So
yeah, good reminder. I'll do a double check there.
I put the links in the chat that help you determine whether or not you think you need a docs PR. But if you do need one, we just need the placeholder in the next day.
All right, thanks.
Oh, and it looks like feature blog freeze is July 9th. So that's, again, placeholder PR. If we are going to need a feature blog about this, we would want a placeholder by July 9th.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. I know the last blog you wrote, Lucas, was, relatively short, but I still think it's cool to expose like these metrics and how people use them. So I think like if you're up for it, if you feel like writing another blog and kind of like talking about this metric and how people could use it, like I'm totally supportive of that. I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, definitely. It's also written quite quickly. Like as you said, the last one was quite short. This one can also be similarly in length. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Walter, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I love what was just said. I'm sorry I did miss a little bit because someone bounced my browser. But I would say, in addition to sort of saying what this metric does and why we think it'll be interesting, I think it's also a wonderful opportunity to sort of, I feel like I'm, playing Bridget here. It's a wonderful opportunity to actually ask for additional feedback and suggestions. I'm totally channeling Bridget. But please, let's see if we can help our customers more. And sometimes they know what they need better than we do. So let's not miss that opportunity.
Yeah, good call. I'd still love to hear from another cloud provider if this actually helps them or not.
Okay. Yeah, some great ideas, some great suggestions there. I love the idea of kind of adding to these blogs, like, hey, reach out to us, tell us what you need. We want to make this better. Because yeah, like this is one of those areas where it's oftentimes tough for us to understand exactly what our end users are getting out of all this stuff. So yeah, I love it. Okay, so that is the end of our regular agenda, but I see that Daniel.
But Daniel just arrived.
Yeah, but Daniel has arrived from his other appointment. So Daniel, just to bring you up to speed a little bit, we did talk about the maintainer track, and I'd like to follow up with you in Slack about getting the abstract together and maybe figuring out if we can get a second community member from the Crow community who'd like to join you on stage. And I'll come to the Crow meeting next week so we can talk about it more. And at the very least, I can propose the talk to the maintainer track with myself as the second. And then as we get closer to, that gives us a little more breathing room to find someone who might want to present with you. And then I can just swap myself out and swap them in. So it shouldn't be a big deal. But you had talked about maybe giving a demo for us. Should we make you co-host so you can share? Do you want to show us something or?
Yeah, I love to. Yeah, this might be it gives you an idea of what we could potentially demonstrate at the maintainers talk, and maybe it needs to be polished a little bit more, but at least it gives you it will spark the brain juices.
Yeah, absolutely. Bridget, can you make Daniel co-host and I will stop sharing?
Already done.
Awesome, thank you.
Let's
Yeah, take
see.
it away, Daniel, whenever you're ready.
Let's see if this works. Can you see my screen?
I'm seeing, a couple, like it looks like a terminal and
Yeah.
VS Code and a web browser.
Wonderful. So just to keep things simple, I've already deployed this topology to 3 Kubernetes clusters on EKS, AKS, and GKS. It's running in the same exact topology.
One interruption, Daniel. Could you maybe make this diagram a little bit bigger so it's easier to read on the
Yeah.
screen? Yeah, thank you.
And so what it is again, this is just it could be any type of topologies. This is just to show you like a face to the problem. And what this is trying to represent is an AI ops type of situation where you want to deploy maybe some type of sentiment analysis on a API. So imagine that you send a comment, say is it positive or negative. So what would that happen? How would that happen in a normal enterprise environment? So what some teams have done, some companies have done is they have a platform where a platform team sets up a overall kind of framework or guardrail situation. And then product teams can self-onboard use cases, such as fine-tuning or sentiment analysis or forecasting, what have you. So what would that look like with KRO? And how does KRO kind of unblock the portability story? That's kind of the theme of this talk. So what you see here is that we have three RGDs, three RGDs owned by platform, and then we have an instance of the service owned by the product team. And I'll show you a little bit of the code, how it looks like. But essentially, this is it's all written 100% with KRO across all clusters, even EKS. As it turns out, there was a particular nuance because EKS does not ship with a default storage class, whereas GKE and AKS they do. But with auto clusters on GKE, it kind of there's basically a very easy workaround that allows you to keep everything in one in KRO, and I'll show you that very quickly. But then essentially this goes into the KRO controller, so no custom Go controllers, and then it creates in all clusters your all the infrastructure needed to operate this very simple service, down to the metrics with Prometheus, endpoints, and everything that you need to run this. So let me just pause here and see any questions so far before I actually show you what this actually looks like.
I'm not seeing any hands or, oh, there we go, Walter, please.
Please, Walter.
I think we may have discussed this before, but I'm just sort of curious. Crow usually acts on its local cluster, and I was just wondering if you had built an extension to allow Crow to run in one cluster but manipulate another.
Oh, good point. No, I think Crow is running on each of the clusters.
Okay, cool.
So, but good idea. Maybe we need to think about that. So let me just move this here, and then that way you can still see what we're trying to do. And so this is the solution. So when you look at if we go left to right, what is the platform resources. So we've got one for AKS, EKS, and GKE, and so this is all the Crow that you need, or the language that you need in order to specify mainly that what is the storage class that comes with the cluster, and is it automatically managed, yes or no. So for AKS, we've got managed CSI. For GKE, we've got premium row, which is automatically managed. And for EKS, what we have is the storage class is GP3. So this is the one layer. Then the other layer is just a bit higher. We've got the so this runs this is platform specific or cluster specific on each of the providers. And then this is completely generic across all providers. So it sets up the infrastructure for all of your services. This is the most basic infrastructure that you would need. So the Prometheus and the annotations. And then this is a more specific type of infrastructure if you are dealing with GenAI. And this is exactly the same for all cloud providers. And then this is the platform team managing this configs. And then if you are the 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 product team, you want to submit a sentiment analysis, all you need is to provide is this. I want, imagine that you would have a self-service catalog, and in this self-service catalog, you would have, hey, I want to do sentiment API. This is the model that I want to use for my sentiment analysis. I want monitoring, and this is how many replicas. And so from a product team, this is all you care about for this particular use case. If you have a different use case, so say, for instance, sentiment analysis, different properties would come into play. So for instance, perhaps in sentiment analysis, you might want to do drift detection. You might want to be able to provide your own data set for training. These are the things that the platform team kind of figures out in terms of the different use cases. But once you have these use cases, then they're very easy. It's very easy for a platform team to self-onboard in a way that you still have maintained guardrails and governance and what have you. Now, this is true in many other platforms, like in SageMaker, certainly that is true, and as well as many other places. But the difference here with doing it the Kubernetes way is that it can go across cloud. So this is where I can just now switch to even though I deployed everything already, I'll just show you what it actually looks like deployed. So first of all, we have the 3 very real clusters. So we have GKE, AKS, and EKG running. So 3 distinct clusters, live clusters. And of course, on Kind would work the same way locally. And then here you can see how, even though it's the same CRO, but the storage classes are defined differently in each of the clusters. And then here you can see the service, the sentiment serves the same service running on all 3 clusters active. And each workload, so that the same, no, sorry, did I not copy? Same, oops, what did I do? Did I sentiment cache? Oh. Oh, sorry.
This is how we know it's live. Totally
Yeah, no,
fine.
just I just got lost myself. But okay, no, so this was one. So I think I just skipped this one. I kept this one. So I want to show. Right. So the same API is running and the same different services running. So the other part I wanted to show was how the deployment, the PVCs, all the objects were owned by the same, everything was owned by the same objects and the same graph within that cluster. So that was also pretty cool, because then it's just one easy way to manage the whole thing. And then we can easily, we have the actual service running. So this script will actually call all services, the same service in all 3 clusters running. So from a product team perspective, you've got the same CRO configuration, and it's able to work on all clusters, even though behind the scenes, some of the there is some cloud vendor specific configuration that happen like with the storage class. So that's the kind of like the gist of the portability story for what I was envisioning for this demo.
Yeah, I really like this. Especially if we can focus the story around like kind of the operations team and the people setting this up and maintaining it. Because yeah, this really highlights how Crow can be used in a very powerful way. So yeah, I like this demo, Bruno. I think probably I'm definitely a +1 for having this be our maintainer track talk. And if everyone else is in agreement, I'd love to kind of work with you to help, craft a story around this that we want to see from the SIG's perspective. I don't, anyone else have comments or questions or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to do too much patting on the back kind of thing, but I will say I remember getting together with like Bridget and Chris and Amin and Jesse and a few folks from Google a couple of years ago, and we wanted to enable something like this to be able to be done. And so it is incredible to see not just that Crow has come along with heavy work from like Amin and Chris and Barney, but also like it's great to see what you've been able to accomplish on this, Daniel. This is great. Like I'm not kidding when I say like I remember being in a room with Bridget trying to convince, and all of us trying to convince ourselves that someone would want to build, if we could build the right tool, someone would build something like this. So this is like great thing to see.
It's amazing. It's very encouraging because that says that you're being empowered to do the things that are actually useful to you, which was always the goal.
Yeah, and the thing is, I saw the fit for market for this type of use cases because we were when I was at AWS, we were helping customers build it, and then we were putting it out there on GitHub, and then the next customer would just reuse the same thing, enhance it a little bit, which then we available. So this is something that is very applicable. But now you do it this approach, and now you this way with KRO, and now you have the flexibility of all clouds just as a freebie. So that is something that was, I mean, to me, that it was something that clicked when I realized it, like, oh, this is actually very powerful.
Yeah, I love the first of all, yeah, like kudos on like a job well done, not only to Daniel, but yeah, to the Crow team and to Bridget and Walter and everyone who was in that room like, 2 years ago. I remember hearing the output of those discussions. And honestly, not like hearing this more and hearing more of the story, I almost want a member of the SIG to be on stage with you because I think it'd be cool to talk about that part of the story from a SIG perspective. That, a couple years ago, we had an interest from the SIG, and we had some people in the SIG who took a chance and kind of had this vision about what could happen. And now here we are a couple years later, and what you've done, Daniel, is exactly what some of the original intentions of this project are. So it's a really nice validation of one of these long arcs in my mind of kind of like an idea that is percolated up through the SIG and has now become reality. And not only is it reality, but it actually solves problems for people. So like I love to tie that kind of meta story into this because I think from a maintainer perspective, this is why we do what we do, right? This is why we want to have these organizations and everything. So yeah, really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for the support and the guidance.
All right, cool. So Daniel, I guess you and I can follow up in Slack. And I think you posted an abstract for all of us to look at. So we'll highlight that again amongst the SIG chairs and leads and everything. And then, yeah, we'll get it submitted and figure out what the next step is after that.
Perfect. Now, technically, I already submitted it, but it's kind of like in review process. It was at the time I didn't know if it was a good idea. It was just kind of now this feedback kind of validates it that yeah, this actually makes sense.
And to be clear, what you submitted was to the overall conference, and they will decide the first week in August.
Sure.
What we're talking about is a constrained and focused version which
Mhm.
will be for the maintainer track. So it is possible you could end up giving both, but then you can
Yeah.
have the one be very focused on the deep dive and the other one focused on the things with the SIG. So like you have choices.
Oh no,
It-
of course, yeah.
Exactly what Bridget's talking about. Like if both talks get accepted, what I would love to see happen is exactly what Bridget just said. Like your main track, you can focus on all the deep details about all these things, like the crow details and all this other stuff. You can go deep dive, and then for the maintainer track, we can use that as the motivating story for like kind of the wider activity of the SIG and everything. So
Yeah.
you might end up giving two talks.
Yeah. No,
All right, cool. So we're getting down to the last few minutes here. I'll share my screen again and we can kind of wrap this thing up. Thank you, Daniel, again for the demo and everything. That was really cool. It's not often we get a live demo here, so. Okay, all righty. So let's just look quickly to see if we have any new issues that need triaging. Zoom out a little bit. Looks like no, we don't. We're still kind of in a holding pattern with some of these flakes and whatnot.
I think we still need Cloud Provider GCP to look at that one. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
I
Did
think that's
we get a look at it?
yeah.
I had handed that.
We're looking
that
at you,
has been
Walter.
owned- No, totally. I that has an owner on my side. Let me. They were supposed to pick it up and start moving it forward, so I will pick it up and see what's going on and where we are with that. But yeah, there is an owner on my side, so let me see what's going on.
Okay. And then I'll bring up the periodics, but I think there's still like I'm still very skeptical about some of this stuff. And I noticed we were getting questioned about a blocker in chat again. And I think Kirthan, you and I had been talking about that blocker. It's not a blocker, but and it looked like it was related to the SSH stuff, but I think you had a pretty good idea what was going on there. I don't think that's necessarily a problem with our stuff. All right. Unless there's any other final orders of business or anything, I'm going to call this meeting to a close. Thanks everybody for coming out, and yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you. Bye.
Take care, everybody.